Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my thoughts. We got some recently released documents, some pretty juicy stuff, some rage emails and good stuff in the ongoing court battle that is going on right now between Frank Darabont and AMC over The Walking Dead. So I'll put the links in the description for you guys so you can check these out. And I'm telling you, you definitely want to check these ones out because these are fun. I mean, they're really fun to go through if you're a big time fan of The Walking Dead and if you've, seen the first couple seasons, if you've been with the show for a while. A lot of it's throwback stuff, but it's just really cool to kind of hear the details about what happened here behind the scenes, to get to see some of the communications and what happened here. So if you're new to this issue or what's happened, basically what it is Frank Darabont is suing AMC for the small amount of $100 million over The Walking Dead. So this is it's a big deal. Apparently it sounds like he's suing them for being released wrongfully so they wouldn't have to pay him his royalties for the show as the show started getting bigger. He is still credited in the show. You can see in the credits of every episode, the show is developed by Frank Darabont. And if you guys don't really know who Frank Darabont is, of course, he's one of the most respected people in the industry, in the movie, TV series, Hollywood industry. He is. He did The Shawshank Redemption. And originally it was his idea to develop or to create a TV series for The Walking Dead. So basically you have Robert Kirkman's comic book series, which was a standout, awesome comic book series. But then you had him who came in and decided, okay, we're going to do this project. I want to do a TV series with this. They shopped around. They tried some different networks. Eventually, some passed on it, like HBO and NBC. And eventually, AMC took it. They're like, okay, this is a good idea. Let's do this. So what happened was the first season went through and everything as far as we know, was good as far as what's been released publicly. Second season goes in, and by about the halfway point at the second season, Frank Darabont was either fired or kind of let go, and it's wishy-washy to where he was actually finally out with regards to what he was working on, but it sounds like it was a little bit past the halfway point, him and Glenn Mazzara, and he had to kind of hand it over because he was being let go or he was being fired. So there's some really interesting stuff going on here and some really fun details in these emails about the first half of Season 2. And if you guys have seen some of the deleted scenes for Season 2, be it either on the Blu-ray, DVD, or they're probably even on YouTube, there's some really weird scenes that don't seem to fit with the show, that don't seem to fit with the first half of Season 2. One of them in particular, you have Shane, he's running down this highway and he's being chased by a whole ton of zombies, and apparently there was an RV that kind of picks him up and rescues him, and then they head out. There's another one where they visit the Vatos, and I guess it really, to simplify it here, it sounds like the Season 2 was a cluster F. It sounds like Season 2 was a mess. Which is fun. Now, the first episode, What Lies Ahead, is one of my absolute favorite episodes, but it sounds like they had a lot of trouble getting it together. They had Gwyneth Horder Payton, who was working on some of this, and there's some fun stuff in here bashing. He's basically bashing her. He's bashing her work, and he's saying that this is just crap, this kind of thing, basically. So there's some choice swear words that you can check out yourself, and we'll get into some of them after. And then Ernest Dickerson is also cited as director for this. So I'm thinking maybe maybe he fixed it, something like this. And apparently there was budget problems over the second season too, because I think really it sounds like Frank Darabont wanted to reshoot some of the stuff, and he of course is the showrunner, so he's not supposed to be directing every episode and doing that kind of thing. He's got other people doing that, but I think the problem is that with kind of his standards and how high his standards were and what he wanted, Season 2 was not delivering what he wanted it to be. It was not at the level that he had envisioned for the show and that he knew the show could be, and he probably just felt like they were cheaping out on it with regards to, what they were doing with the show. So this is pretty much a lot of the background info that's been released about this up until this current time, and what's gone on. And finally, AMC is kind of fired back in a way. They haven't really said too much, but now that the actual, a lawsuit and everything is happening, they've released this info here hear about some of the things that Frank Darabont said and kind of some of the reasons why he was fired. Because if you, at face value, you're like, you let go of the guy who helped develop the show, it sounds like you're a monster or something, right? Like, here he had this idea, it was his, he brought it to you, it's a cash cow, you're milking that thing for 8 seasons, $1 billion show, and it's like, you fire him out of it, it just doesn't sound right. But then you get to see, always two sides of the story, you get to read some of these emails, so let's go through some of them. Okay, check those links. First one, it says, here are some of the juiciest excerpts. Emailed to Gail Ann Hurd and others, June 14, 2011, Tuesday, 10:39 p.m. Guys and gals, I am in a state of absolute boiling rage right now. I just kept Denise on the phone for 20 minutes. She's one of the producers, right? Making her listen to me scream. I hope she conveys to you what the tenure of it, because you need to grasp my fury. I have never been a screamer, but I am now. The work being done on this episode has turned me into one. Congratulations, you all accomplished what I thought was impossible. You turned me into a raging asshole. Thanks a lot, you fuckers. Everybody, especially our directors, better wake the fuck up and pay attention. These are his words, not mine. Or I will start killing people and throwing bodies out the door. It gets better. Fuck you all for giving me chest pains because of this staggering fucking incompetence, blindness to the important beats, and the beyond arrogant lack of regard for what is being exhibited on set every day. I deserve better than a heart attack because people are too stupid to read a script and understand the words. Does anybody disagree with me? Then join the CCAM operator. Go find another job. It doesn't involve deliberately fucking up my show scene by scene. Jesus. Okay. All right. Next one we got email to Ben Davis. Please, let's stop invoking the writer's room. There is no writer's room, which you know as well as I do. I am the writer's room. The lazy fucking assholes who were supposedly going to be my showrunners threw that responsibility on me after wasting 5 months of my time. If it were up to me, I'd not only fired Jack Eagles and Jack Logridis when they handed me the worst episode 3 script imaginable, I'd have them hunted down and fucking killed them with a brick. Then gone and burned down their homes. I haven't even spoken to those worthless, talentless hacks, son of bitches, since their third draft was phoned in after 5 months of all their big talk and promises that they dig deep and have my back covered. They didn't have my back. They rammed knives into it. Professional courtesy is something one earns, and those douchebags have not earned mine. I don't want to see them CC'd on anything anymore. They renounced that privilege by not even trying to live up to their job descriptions, by instead leaving me dangling in the wind like a hangman, calling their 103 phoned in, or calling their 103 phoned in would be vastly overstating, because they were too busy wasting my time and your money to bother picking up the damn phone. Those fucking overpaid con artists. And here's a good one, because this is an email to Gwyneth Hoarder Payton and others. So it sounds like she's the one who was maybe responsible for part of why the season 2 premiere had to be redone and just didn't work. I am profoundly let down by some of this footage. I'm boiling mad. And then this is in caps, so I'm going to kind of quiet screen for this. You need to pay attention to the motherfucking script. I even chose my goddamn commas for a reason. Why am I working so fucking hard if you're shooting everything some other way that doesn't work? And then, oh my goodness, I emailed to Denise Huth and others. Shane being chased by zombies on the parkway and being rescued by the RV is a major element we must reshoot. And I don't think they ever did. I'm trying to think, did they reshoot it? there's the deleted scene, right? But I don't think that was in the show, that him being chased by zombies in a parkway like that. Seeing those dailies today left me gobsmacked and thinking I should fake my own death, leave town, and live under an assumed name. There are some shots that we can use from Gwyneth's footage, but only shots. Right now, the sequence doesn't exist. Reshooting this along with everything else is something we have to plan for, and I haven't even vetted the goat farm stuff yet, but I can safely bet you $1 million there are major problems there too. Denise, I'm putting my anger and disappointment at Gwyneth aside when I say this. I promise I'm not being hyperbolic. Remember our experiences with, okay, so I guess we're all shocked because of this crap. Okay, so I am honest to God wondering if Gwyneth hasn't experienced the same thing. So he's trying to say that maybe she had a stroke or something. That's how fundamentally fucked this footage is. It's as if she totally lost her grasp of what to do. It's like we yanked some kid with no experience out of high school and put her in charge of directing a show. And what's really weird is that she doesn't seem to know that. So she doesn't seem to understand it. So, there's a lot there. I won't go through everything. That's some of the ones that Variety has listed. I mean, there's lots of other juicy morsels in there. So you guys can go ahead and go through it all and just kind of see. It's definitely worth a read if you're a fan of The Walking Dead Season 2. And it's kind of crazy because I really had no idea. Like, I had heard reports that Season 2 had some trouble. But, I had no idea that it was near the beginning of the season. It's some of the best stuff. But if you look at it, the beginning, and then after it goes like Bloodletting, Save the Last One, Cherokee Roast. There's some stuff in there about Save the Last One as well, too, I think, which was written by Scott Gimple, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. But it sounds like to me a lot of it has to do with, the camera work and the way everything was shot. The problem with reshooting it is when you're doing these big scenes with tons of zombies and certain time of the day and lighting and everything like this, it's really hard to reshoot that kind of stuff or to add in another clip because you have, such a huge environment set up and all this stuff, and it costs a lot of money to do all this. And the other thing that, of course, comes into play is the amount of time you have to do it, because they only have, like, certain times, and I think that's one of the main differences between TV and movies, whereas with movies, you can be very more precise than you can with a TV show, and if you need to reshoot something, you're probably going to have more time to do it. Now, of course, they're going to have deadlines as well, too, but with a TV series, if you're doing like 13 or 16 episodes a season, like 16 episode seasons, that's a lot of content to have to churn out. You have different directors on each episode, you have different writers, you have a showrunner, you have different actors and talent and all these different things coming together. And man, that's hard to manage, and they only have a certain amount of time to get that stuff done and move on. So it's really cool stuff. Definitely check it out. From what we're seeing here, simple question is, do we think he's going to win the lawsuit or lose it? From what they're showing, I mean, because they have that, and we're assuming they're all real, and from what it looks like they are, I mean, it's going to be tough for him, I think, to make a case that he didn't have cause for termination. Because the thing is that, if I was to use the F word even once at my job, and somebody heard me, if either I said the F word to my boss or another employee, or even worse could be somebody who was a subordinate or somebody who was, a new hire or something, lower on the food chain, that would be even worse. Like, swearing at your boss is bad, but if you are a boss, like Frank Darabont was for the show, he was, the showrunner, so he's, and the developer, so he's like the top dog in a lot of ways, right? If he's doing that too, and they kind of hear about that stuff, that's not the type of direction they're going to want to lead people in. If they hear that their top guy, like a top manager, any company you can apply this to, is swearing at people, like crazy and going on tirades in emails or venting to people, and then they rat them out. Like, it's okay to vent to somebody as long as they don't tell anybody what you're saying and share those emails or anything. So there's probably a lot more that he had said and a lot more things happening, but really it comes down to, he wanted the show to be really, really good, to a certain level of quality. I think it turned out about that way anyway, obviously it's not perfect, and they've done so many seasons now, they release so many episodes. Yeah, there's episodes where, like a character like Beth, for example, will get shot in one spot, but yet the gun's in a different angle, and it doesn't quite work. But we kind of get it, as a TV series fan. Like, as a fan of a TV series, we understand what it's supposed to mean. Even if the angle doesn't work or there's some problems with certain stuff, we get it. They're doing 16 episodes. It's hard to do that many. And, having them be perfect, it's pretty tough when you have it's such a huge thing. And the other thing, too, is, like, he's so talented in what he can do. He's looking at all these other people like, I can do better than that. I can do better than that. I can do better than that. You know what I mean? With all these different elements, probably. Because he's a master of his craft, obviously. But the problem is that they're probably not going to be as good as you are. So you got to be patient with them and understand. Like, you just got to help them become the best they can be at what they're doing. Or if you're going to fire them, do it without swear words. Fire them, but do it in a professional manner so you don't get yourself or the company in trouble. Because then if you start doing that, then they could file a lawsuit just like he's doing now. So kind of crazy stuff. I love Frank Darabont, but when you read these emails, you got to think to yourself, like, he's probably not going to win this one, is he? At least we'll see how it goes. You never know, court, and how all these things go down. But, I mean, once you start swearing at people, especially if you're a leader like that, then it's even more frowned upon, I'd say, than if you're just a regular employee. So let me know what you guys think about this one. It's definitely interesting, and it's definitely cool to see some of the background stuff about Season 2 and, some of the troubles they had, because a lot of it, I didn't even really know that this kind of stuff was going on. So that's kind of cool. So let me know what you guys think. Write your comments below, and if you like this one, please thumb it up below, guys. You can also share and favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, you can subscribe at the bottom left. I'll see you back again soon for another Walking Dead video, guys. Oh, it's quite fun. Quite the riot. Later, guys. Trev, saying peace. See ya.